Hey guys, so this is your week one lecture video, and I'm just going to kind of go through our assignments for week one, talk about what's due, and go through my PowerPoint presentation and some information that's being presented to you guys. So this week you have three things that are due this week. You have a introductory discussion board that will be due. You have a quiz. It's a brief quiz on the reading, and then you have your journal that's due by the end of the week on the American Dream article, the poem that you're reading, and the video that you'll watch today, or this week, excuse me. And that journal is your attendance assignment, so that's what I'll be looking at for attendance purposes, so make sure you get it turned in so you don't get marked absent for the week. So one thing I didn't talk about in the course overview that I want to make sure everyone knows for an online course is you have your attendance assignments. That's what I check for your attendance. And should you miss 2 consecutive weeks or 3 weeks altogether in the course, you will be dropped from the course. So make sure you're getting those attendance assignments done. So what I want to do this week, the course introduction video is here, so make sure hopefully you've already watched that. I want to take a moment just to kind of review MLA format with you guys. So if you could just open up that PowerPoint and we'll go through it together. And this is kind of your review, so you should know this stuff, but I just want to make sure to reiterate it for the purposes of this class. So for MLA format, when you guys are writing papers for this class, you need to make sure that you have 1-inch margins all the way around the paper, that you're using Times New Roman 12-point font, that you double space the entire paper, that the before and after in your paragraph settings is set to 0. There needs to be a header at the top right of every page. The header has your last name and the page number. Make sure that you use the insert page number feature so that it changes every page. And then your heading is only on the beginning page, the first page, and it's at the left. You don't use the header feature for your heading. You type it on the paper regularly. It's 1 inch from the top. And your heading includes your name, my name, the course, and the date. And that format is day, month, year. Okay, so today's January 7th, so it would say 7 January 2021. And then you have a title that is centered. Your title should not be bold, it should not be in italics, it should not be underlined, it should be the exact same font as everything else, unless you are using a title of a work in your title. Remember that titles of poems go in quotation marks, titles of articles go in quotation marks, titles of books go in italics, okay? So make sure that we're properly punctuating those things. And of course your paragraphs should be indented. So the next slide talks about what we're going to be doing with literary analysis. And you guys are going to do this the whole course. Both of your essays are analyzing literature with a prompt, okay? So you are to analyze the literature as we read. What is the author saying about a particular topic? Remember that we have the theme of the American Dream. So what are they presenting in regard to that? That kind of keep that in your mind as you're reading. That's our theme. How do they say these things? Okay, so what do they say? How do they say them? How do they use figurative language or anything like that to make a statement, make you feel something? And then what evidence can you provide from the text to back up your analysis? When you are writing papers in this class, make sure that your introductory paragraphs are your words only. There should not be any citations in your introductory paragraph. There should be no quotations really in your introductory paragraph. Make sure that you have a thesis at the end of your introductory paragraph. It should be the last 1 to 2 sentences of the paragraph. Your conclusion should also be your words only. Okay, you shouldn't be introducing new information or citing in your conclusion. You should be wrapping up what you said. You restate your thesis and then you expand it out to why it's important. Okay. Make sure the body of your paper, your paragraphs are set up properly, so make sure that every paragraph has a topic sentence, that you have details coming from the text that you are citing parenthetically in the paper, and then make sure you have transition sentences to the next topic. So you shouldn't have your paragraphs start or end with a quote, because they should be your topic sentence and your transition sentence. For formal academic writing, the expectations for formal academic writing is that there are no personal pronouns, there are no contractions, you do not ask questions and then answer them, just make a statement. Your numbers under 100 should be spelled out. Do not start or end a paragraph with a quote. Make sure your quotes should not be back to back. You should always be providing analysis around your quotes. For your MLA citations, make sure that the citation is parenthetical, meaning in parentheses. Remember that it's the first word or couple of words from your works cited page. So if it's an author's last name, great. If there's more than one author, you need to make sure that if it's 2, you list both. If it's 3 or more, you're going to use the first author's name and then et al. Make sure that there's no punctuation within that pair. You don't put a comma between the author's name and the page number. And make sure that you include the page number when available. If you have a poem, you want to include the line number, and you actually write the word line when you do that. And be sure the period comes after the citation. You are required to have a works cited page. Remember that their works cited page is the same font as everything else. Make sure there's no numbers, no bullets. Make sure that it's in alphabetical order. Make sure make sure that you're using hanging indentations. And that should be the last page of your paper. And that's just a quick review of what MLA formatted papers look like, okay? So I want to make sure you guys understand that. Remember that you can utilize Purdue OWL, and you literally just in your search bar just type Purdue OWL, and that's the University of Purdue's online writing lab, and it has all of the information that you need for MLA format. So you can check that, and you can use that as a reference to ensure that you are properly using MLA format for your formal papers in this class. Okay, let's talk about this week. So you have a overview of literary periods, and if you open that up in Microsoft Word, you will see that it's just kind of a very brief introduction to the literary periods. Each week I will tell you which literary period we are in, so you can go back to this to better understand and look for some of the things that are here. Okay, I'm not going to read it to you. We will be starting with realism. Okay, so just be aware of that. That's where we will start. And then how to read literature when you open this up. It's going to talk about things to look for. So how to read a short story. What do you pay attention to? Make notes of these things as you're reading when we have short stories. How to read a poem, all right? Reading poetry is not the easiest thing to do. So this kind of breaks it down for you, and it helps you to understand, you know, how you can read a poem to understand a poem. And then on page 3, these questions, you might just want to like copy these questions down and put them in a document, and then you can answer them for the poetry that we read, okay? Because that really will help you to understand the poetry. And it is imperative that you do understand it. So if you are struggling or you don't understand some things, ask questions, okay? That's what the class is for. Now what you're going to do this week, you are going to make sure you read the How Do You Read Literature. Make sure you take some notes. There's a short quiz on that, so you'll complete that short quiz on that document. And then you'll watch this video, you'll read the article, Can We Save the American Dream? I suggest printing it and highlighting or annotating the article, but if you can't do that, make sure you're jotting down notes. You'll use this article, you can use it for the papers that we write, okay? And you'll be using it for your journal this week. You have a short video here. It's by John Green. He wrote The Fault in Our Stars and some other books. He's got hilarious crash course videos on literature that we will watch in this class. He adds another layer of understanding to some of the things that we're going to read, and he's funny. He talks really fast, like faster than I do. So I always suggest people have the closed captioning on when they're watching his videos. Also, this particular video is kind of quiet, so you want to have the closed captioning on and make sure you jot down some of the things he says. Our poem is Harlem by Langston Hughes. This is our anchor text for the whole year or the whole semester, so I would suggest printing this, and you'll read it and make sure that you understand how important it is, what he's talking about. We're going to be applying this poem to the definition and obstacle essays about the American dream. So make sure you're ready for that. And then you have your assignments here. So for week 1, you have your week 1 quiz, and that quiz is about the literature and how to read literature and literary periods overview, both documents. All right, that's your quiz is going to be on that. It's 10 questions. Okay. Again, you won't be able to access this until you complete your enrollment assignment, so make sure that's done first. We have a basic discussion forum. Generally, with the discussion forums, your first initial post will be due on a Friday, and then your 2 replies will be due on Sunday. For the first week, I want it all done by Sunday, so just make sure you get it done by Sunday. It will be better if you tried to have your introductory post up by Thursday or Friday so people have time to respond. But yeah, so just be aware of that. I've already completed mine, so it kind of shows you how to do it. Okay, so you have an example of how to do it. And then finally, Journal 2 is your attendance assignment. So for your attendance assignment this week, it's due January 18th. And on January 19th, I'll go through and see who's completed it. And if you haven't, you'll be marked absent. And just please be aware that you can be dropped from the course if you miss 2 consecutives or 3 total. So don't miss those. And your question is asking you, and it's going to be, I want you to journal, and you're applying everything that you're looking at this week content-wise. So when we say, what is the American dream? Remember, your first essay is to define this, so we're already working towards that. Okay, to whom is this available? What is systemic inequality? If you don't know, like you have no idea what that is, I'm wanting you to tell me what it is from your perspective, but if you genuinely have no idea what that is, feel free to look it up, but do cite it if you look it up, or at least put it in your own words. Don't just take don't copy a definition from Webster and plug it in there, okay? So when I ask what is systemic inequality, I really just want you to describe it, okay, in your best words. How can you describe it, and how does systemic inequality relate back to the American dream? And then finally apply all of that to Langston Hughes's poem. Okay, so that's our journal, and you'll see that it says 250 to 500 words. 250 is the minimum that I want you to write for this journal, okay? And you're always encouraged, if you want to cite the text or quote the text, go for it, but make sure that you're properly citing when you're doing so. So if you have any questions for week 1, be sure to reach out to me. You can shoot me an email or give me a call or have a virtual appointment, whatever you would like, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. I hope you kind of enjoy this start to the week, and you kind of are starting to dig into the theme of our course, and it'll remain the same thing throughout the semester. Have a great week.